Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. The man took the lead and flew up into the air. Zhu Honggong called out to Dang Kong, and he and Luli leaped onto Dang King's back. At this moment, Luli patted Zhu Honggong's shoulder and said, "Act according to the situation." All right. Zhu Honggong and Luli rode on Dang King's back as they followed the man, flying to the north coast. Zhu Honggong observed the man in front of him. The man had an extraordinary bearing and did not seem to harbor any ill intentions. Nevertheless, he was still wary, so he did not follow the man too closely. Moreover, he could not sense the man's cultivation base. This meant that the man was incredibly powerful. At this time, the man said as he flew, "My name's Su Wanqing. I'm the eldest disciple in the Flood Sect. I don't think I've seen both of you in the area before. My name's Zhu Honggong." Zhu Honggong's reply was simple without any unnecessary words. Luli replied, "Luli." Su Wanqing looked at the duo and asked, "Both of you aren't from around here, right?" "Senior Lu and I flew a long way here," Zhu Honggong answered noncommittally. Su Wanqing nodded before he asked nonchalantly, "Have both of you heard of my name before?" Zhu Honggong shook his head honestly. What a waste, of Su Wanqing thought to himself as his eyes landed briefly on Dang Kong. Since the stranger before him owned a mount, the stranger should have an extraordinary background. In any case, he decided to find out the purpose of their visit first. If they truly did unintentionally trespass on the island, then he would let this matter go. Then, he asked again, "Where did both of you come from?" "A very distant place." "I don't think you've heard of it," Zhu Honggong replied truthfully. Su Wanqing smiled as he said, "My friends, things don't look like they went well for you." At this moment, Luli suddenly began to cough violently. He was about to say something when he inhaled the sea breeze, causing him to cough. All of a sudden, he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Su Wanqing exclaimed in shock, "He's seriously injured." At this moment, Zhu Honggong grabbed Luli's arm and tightened his grip. If things went south, he would flee with Luli immediately. At the same time, he looked at Su Wanqing warily. Su Wanqing said, "It's not suitable for him to travel in this state. If you don't mind, you can stay in the Flood Sect." Luli endured the pain in his abdomen and said, "It's just a minor injury." At this moment, Su Wanqing was convinced the two people in front of him really did unwittingly stumble onto the Howling Wind Island. If they were spies, they would not bring an injured person along, nor would they own a mount. Spies were not treated so well where they would be given a mount, after all. After a moment, he said, "The North Island is just up ahead. After we fly past this area, it'll be safe." "Thank you." The trio continued flying in silence. When they finally arrived in the sky above the seawater between two islands, Su Wanqing lowered his head to have a look. At the same time, Dang Kong began to grunt and growl. A black shadow could be seen moving under the surface of the sea. Su Wanqing frowned. "It seems like we're unlucky. Hurry up and hide." Splash! A flounder that resembled a palm leaf fan leaped out of the sea toward the trio at this moment. Su Wanqing tapped his toes in the air, sending a surge of energy down immediately. Bang! Then, Su Wanqing rose higher into the air. When he turned to look at Zhu Honggong and Luli, he exclaimed in surprise, "Why aren't both of you dodging the sea beast?" Zhu Honggong scratched his head. There's no need to dodge it, right?" Su Wanqing frowned, but he only said, "Be careful." The flounder broke the surface of the sea again. This time, its target seemed to be Dang Kang's underbelly. Zhu Honggong frowned as he cursed, "Damn it. Dodge." He quickly clamped his legs on Dang Kang's flanks, urging it to fly. Dang Kong did not need a reminder and flew away swiftly. After missing its target, the flounder-like sea beast fell back into the sea and swam toward the horizon. Upon seeing this, Su Wanqing heaved a sigh of relief and said, "Kid, you really know how to dodge. Hurry up, let's leave." Alas, at this moment, 4 or 5 flounder-like sea beasts suddenly leaped out of the sea, making a perfect arc in the air, before they dove back into the sea with a splash. When Su Wanqing looked behind him, he saw another 3 or 4 flounders. His expression turned solemn as he said, "We're really unlucky." Upon seeing the solemn expression on Su Wanqing's face, Zhu Honggong grew nervous. "Senior Su, what should we do?" "We can only try to rush to the North Island. I'll lead the way," Su Wanqing said before he leaped up in the air. Buzz. An avatar appeared in the air. As soon as the avatar appeared, Zhu Honggong's eyes widened in shock. The avatar had a yellow lotus. It was a yellow lotus avatar. How is this possible? Zhu Honggong was still in shock. Luli was surprised as well. "I didn't expect the mark to lead us to the yellow lotus domain." Meanwhile, Su Wanqing's avatar repelled 2 of the flounder-like sea beasts. When Su Wanqing turned around and saw the expression on Zhu Honggong's face, he said with a hint of pride, "That's right. I'm the #1 prodigy of the Flood Sect. In less than 2 years, I'll be able to sprout the 6th leaf." Zhu Honggong still had not recovered from his shock. A yellow lotus avatar? Where the hell is this place? Can someone tell me what's going on? After Su Wanqing drove the 2 flounders away, he flew forward again. Then, he turned around and said, "Don't just stand there. Follow me." "Oh." Zhu Honggong directed Dang Kong to follow Su Wanqing. Then, he said loudly, "Senior Su, there's no need for you to hide. We really don't have any ill intentions." "Hide?" Su Wanqing was confused. He did not what Zhu Honggong meant. Su Wanqing, who was briefly distracted, suddenly cried out, "Oh, no." A bigger, and clearly more powerful, flounder-like sea beast had appeared below them. It was roughly 8 to 9 feet long, and it was about 3 to 4 feet wide. Its entire body was glowing with a dim light at this moment. Bang! The flounder bit down on the yellow lotus avatar's body with its sharp fangs, causing Su Wanqing to spit out a large mouthful of blood. Frightened, Su Wanqing hurriedly retreated. How can a giant sea beast appear in this place? Zhu Honggong was confused. He did not understand why Su Wanqing was still hiding his cultivation base. As though he could read Zhu Honggong's mind, Luli whispered to him, "He's not hiding his cultivation base. He really only has 5 leaves." Five leaves? Zhu Honggong said in disbelief, "No, don't fall for his trick. We can't trust him." Luli said, "There's no mistake, he only has 5 leaves." Splash. At this moment, an even bigger flounder that was about 30 feet long leaped up and attacked Zhu Honggong. Su Wanqing placed a hand on his chest as he said with a sigh, "I'm sorry. I've already done my best. Do take care." With that, he turned around and prepared to flee. Zhu Honggong dismounted from Dang Kong and patted its back. After Dang Kong flew to the side with Luli on its back, Zhu Honggong manifested his avatar. Buzz. A 120-foot avatar appeared in front of Zhu Honggong immediately. Su Wanqing, who was about to leave, stopped in his tracks and turned to look when he heard the sound of energy resonance. His eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets when he saw the scene before his eyes. What? Su Wanqing wondered if he was hallucinating or dreaming. He did not hold back his strength as he pinched himself. The scene before his eyes stung his nerves and overturned everything he knew. At this time, the 120-foot avatar wielded an energy sword with 2 hands and brought it down on the monstrous flounder. Swoosh! The energy sword landed on the flounder's head. Following that, Zhu Honggong brought his tear-stained boxing glove out. Bang! Zhu Honggong punched the monstrous flounder's head, splitting its head open. In Luli's eyes, this kind of fight was no different from chickens pecking at each other. Therefore, he was indifferent and calm, not feeling any sense of crisis at all. After a moment, Luli was almost 100% certain that this place was even weaker than the Golden Lotus domain. Perhaps, this was their fate. Perhaps, this was part of Zhu Honggong's destiny. Zhu Honggong punched the sea beast again. This time, he completely destroyed its head. Soon enough, a crystal-clear life heart shot out of the flounder-like sea beast, and Zhu Honggong caught it in his hand. Although it was nowhere near the league of the life heart of the king of the sea beasts, as the saying went, something is better than nothing. Su Wanqing, who was watching in the distance. Zhu Honggong withdrew his 120-foot avatar before he flashed back onto Dang King's back and continued flying forward. Su Wanqing was frozen with a dumbfounded expression on his face. His body was stiff, only his fingers were trembling. After Zhu Honggong put his boxing gloves away, he called out, "Senior Su?" Still in a daze, Su Wanqing did not respond. It was as though he did not hear Zhu Honggong. Zhu Honggong waved his hand and called out again, "Hey, Senior Su?" With this, Su Wanqing jolted and returned to his senses. He endured the pain as he bowed and said, "Senior?" No, I daren't accept this form of address." Su Wanqing tried his best to maintain his flight so he would not plunge into the sea. At this moment, a storm was raging in his heart. Before Zhu Honggong could speak, Luli said, "I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to answer honestly." Yes, Su Wanqing said somewhat incoherently. Luli asked, "Who has the highest cultivation base in your flood sect?" Su Wanqing said, It's my teacher, Tao Jing. He's in the nascent divinity tribulation realm. He's at the peak of the 6-leaf stage." Luli asked, "How can a mere 6-leaf cultivator be the strongest?" Su Wanqing's expression was one of confusion. "Senior, isn't 6 leaves the highest number of leaves?" Luli said curtly, ignorant. Su Wanqing's face flushed red, but he could not and dare not refute Luli's words. He had seen Zhu Honggong's display of strength earlier, how could he ask such a stupid question? He had seen with his own eyes that Zhu Honggong had almost 9 leaves. At this moment, Zhu Honggong did not find the situation comedic at all. This is because he saw a shadow of the people from the Golden Lotus domain in Su Wanqing at this moment. He sighed, thinking that being weak was the original sin. Luli continued to ask, "Which force is the strongest in this world?" Su Wanqing stammered, Great Qing." Luli asked, "Great Qing?" Su Wanqing said, "Great Qing's royal court has many 6-leaf experts capable of unifying the lands. Every year, they would recruit prodigies from various forces and sections. It's said that Great Qing's royal court has more than 10 6-leaf experts." 10. Zhu Honggong and Luli. Zhu Honggong wore an unnatural expression on his face. This was reminiscent of the time when the people from the Golden Lotus domain bragged about the many 8-leaf experts in Great Yen. Luli asked, "Up until now, there's no 7-leaf cultivator at all?" Su Wanqing shook his head quickly before he asked in confusion, "No. It's just I don't understand. Seniors, how? 120 feet? Why isn't there a lotus? And why is the color darker?" Upon hearing Su Wanqing's question, Zhu Honggong suddenly remembered that gold and yellow were rather similar. It was understandable that Su Wanqing mistook his golden avatar for a yellow one. Moreover, Su Wanqing was probably too shocked by the 7 leaves to notice the difference. Luli said, "Take us to your sect master." Su Wanqing was shocked. "Seniors, aren't you going to Great Qing?" Luli said, "We've never said we're going to Great Qing. Let's go to Howling Wind Island first." Su Wanqing was confused. Zhu Honggong was similarly confused. He could not figure out what Luli was planning. Su Wanqing, naturally, did not dare to be presumptuous. He could only. Su Wanqing didn't dare to be presumptuous. He could only turn around and fly to Howling Wind Island. Zhu Hongchang asked Lu Lin in a hushed tone, "What are you trying to do, senior?" Luli said, "The limit in the Yellow Lotus domain is 6 leaves. You've sprouted more than 6 leaves, this means you're not restricted by the limit here. If we gather all the resources in the Yellow Lotus domain, I should be able to help you form your 1,000 Realms whirling avatar." Zhu Honggong was in shock. The resources from the entire Yellow Lotus domain? "Have some confidence," Luli said in a gentle voice, "Don't worry, I'm not asking you to commit a massacre. There are darker things out there that you can't even imagine. The Yellow Lotus domain is weak, so it didn't attract the attention of the beasts or experts from other worlds. This is an opportunity for you. Opportunity? Suddenly, Zhu felt that he did not have enough brain cells. He asked again, then, what should we do? Luli said, we'll become their religion. The Howling Wind Island in the Yellow Lotus domain. As soon as Su Wanqing landed on the island, a few cultivators rushed up to him. Eldest senior brother is back. Eldest senior brother, are those two spies? Did you give them a good beating? Teach them a lesson so they know not to carelessly provoke our flood sect. Su Wanqing quickly raised his finger and loudly shushed them. Eldest senior brother, what's wrong? In just a blink of an eye, a crowd had already gathered in front of Su Wanqing. All of them were looking at him in confusion. Apart from when he was with the sect master, he had never been so flustered and afraid as he was today. Su Wanqing could not figure it out. The two experts clearly intended to leave. Why did they suddenly change their minds and decide to return to the island? He also could not comprehend why they pretended to be weak. Was that a form of bullying? Or, perhaps, they liked pretending to be weak? After a beat, Su Wanqing chided his comrades, without my order, no one's allowed to make a move. At this moment, Zhu Honggong and Luli descended from the sky. The disciples were about to speak again when Su Wanqing turned around and glared at them. They shut their mouths immediately and no longer dared to speak. Su Wanqing bowed and said, Seniors. Luli said, lead the way. Zhu Honggong and Luli followed Su Wanqing toward the center of the island. In the beginning, they passed through the dense forest. Then, they had to cross a rugged mountain road before they finally saw a settlement. They could see disciples guarding the entrance of the settlement as well. Eldest senior brother. Open the gates. Yes. Two disciples opened the gates immediately. Zhu Honggong felt the place was like a mountain stronghold. He had to admit it looked better than his Tiger Ridge gang's mountain stronghold. Zhu Honggong and Luli followed Su Wanqing into the settlement. As soon as they entered, many disciples gathered around them. There were hundreds of them. All of them stopped what they were doing and rushed over immediately. Eldest senior brother is back. Who are these two people? There's a wild boar as well. Su Wanqing said in a low voice, don't talk nonsense. These two are distinguished guests from afar. Don't be rude. Fortunately, it was Su Wanqing whom Zhu Honggong and Luli met. Otherwise, the people of the Flood sect would have gotten into trouble today. As the eldest senior brother, the disciples naturally did not dare to disobey Su Wanqing. All of them turned to Zhu Honggong and Luli before they bowed. Although Luli's Sea of Qi had been destroyed, his views did not change. In his eyes, these people were even more insignificant than ants. Therefore, he remained indifferent and did not pay attention to them. Su Wanqing asked, where's the sect master? The sect master is resting. He said it was time for his nap and that no one's allowed to disturb him, a disciple replied. Go and invite the sect master here. Huh? Did you not understand what I said? Su Wanqing said in a low voice. But the sect master said. Su Wanqing pushed the disciple away. At this moment, a middle-aged man dressed in a brocade robe appeared on top of a tall building in the center of the settlement. He asked in a displeased tone, Su Wanqing, what's wrong? Why are you making a racket? Su Wanqing hurriedly said, stumbling over his words, Master. Master, these two are distinguished guests from. Distinguished guests? The middle-aged man standing at the top of the tall building was none other than Tao Jing, the sect master of the Flood sect. He asked in a tone that was a mixture of confusion and ire, who allowed you to bring strangers onto the island? Luli looked at the middle-aged man indifferently. Then, he turned to Zhu Honggong and said, manifest your avatar. All right. Zhu Honggong widened his stance and turned his feet out like the letter V. Buzz. A 120-foot lotus-less golden avatar shot up into the sky. The hundreds of disciples watched with their mouths agape. Their mouths were so wide open that they could fit a foot in it. Meanwhile, Tao Jing was about to continue rebuking Su Wanqing when he saw the avatar that suddenly shot up into the air. It hovered slightly above him and looked down at him. The entire Flood Sect was as silent as a graveyard. Luli did not like scheming, nor did he like to pretend to be a wolf dressed in sheep's skin. His approach was simple and direct: manifest the avatar to quickly subdue the opponent. Needless to say, his approach was effective. When had any of them seen such a tall avatar? Based on their knowledge and years of cultivating, 6 leaves were the limit, and the tallest avatar was 70 feet tall. There was no doubt the appearance of the 120-foot avatar had shattered their worldviews. Indeed. Schemes and tricks were useless when faced with absolute strength. Luli broke the silence first. I have 3 things to say to you. First, we came here with no ill intentions, and we don't wish to kill anyone. Then, he pointed at Zhu Honggong before he continued to say, second, Zhu Honggong will now take over the position of the sect master of the Flood Sect. Please think things through before you voice your objections. Third, Zhu Honggong will support the Flood Sect and raise its status to the strongest sect in Great Chang. After 5 years, both of us will leave. Luli paused for a moment before he said in a menacing tone, our time is precious. You have 10 breaths to make up your minds. Until today, the people of the Flood Sect had never felt that the wind on Howling Wind Island was so biting and cold like a knife as it blew against their faces. There was no wound to be seen, but it stung before it gradually faded to numbness. Smart people could always figure out advantages and disadvantages and weigh the pros and cons in the shortest time possible. How could Tao Jing, a sect master, be a fool? In just a second, he made a few snap judgments. First, these 2 experts were way beyond what he could comprehend. The duo had no interest in killing anyone here because it was too easy, and the duo was too lazy to kill them. Second, the duo was telling the truth. After all, with such profound strength, was there a need for them to lie? Third, there were clear benefits for them if they submitted themselves to the duo. Regardless of why there were such experts or how they obtained such strength, there was no doubt they were capable of making the Flood Sect the greatest sect in Great Qing. After 10 breaths, Tao Jing suppressed his shock and fear before he unhesitatingly jumped off the building. He kneeled on one knee and placed his right hand on the ground as he said, I'm willing to give up the position of sect master. Greetings, sect master. All of the disciples in the surroundings followed suit and fell to their knees immediately. Greetings, sect master. However, there would always be dissension when there was a large group of people. It was impossible to make everyone submit and obey in such a short time. There was nothing absolute in the world, after all. 2 people glared at Zhu Honggong and Luli as they charged over. It must be fake. Don't be fooled by him. Tao Jing barked, stand down. At the same time, Su Wanqing cried out, no. Unfortunately, it was too late. Luli shook his head. No matter how stupid Zhu Honggong might be, he was not going to stand still if someone attacked him. In just an instant, he released his energy. Bang. Bang. The 2 people were sent flying back, spitting out blood in the air. Zhu Honggong did not kill the 2 people from the Flood Sect. It was good enough to kill their hopes. Moreover, these 2 were only a 3-leaf cultivator and a 4-leaf cultivator. Even if they were considered experts in the Flood Sect, in his eyes, they were so weak that they were not even worth mentioning. Literary Star Hall in the Red Lotus domain. Ding. Worshipped by 210 people. Reward, 210 merit points. Ding. Worshipped by 350 people. Reward, 0 merit points. Red Lotus World, inside the Wenxing Palace. Lu Zhou opened his eyes as soon as he heard the system notifications.